Hello, my name is Kayla Dawson. In this video, I will discuss the Fair Information Practice Principles, their uses in protecting personal identifiable information, and how a federal agency can put each principle to use. FIPPs, which stands for Fair Information Practice Principles, is a set of guidelines used by the Department of Homeland Security and other organizations to ensure the fair and responsible handling of personal information. These principles serve as a framework for collecting, using, and protecting personally identifiable information and designed to promote privacy, transparency, and individual rights. FIPPs consist of the following 9 principles. Access and amendment. Individuals should have the right to access and correct their personal information held by an organization, ensuring accuracy and completeness. Accountability. Organizations should be responsible for complying with privacy laws and regulations, establishing internal policies, and assigning individuals to oversee privacy practices. Authority. Organizations should have a legal basis for collecting and using personal information, and individuals should be informed about the purposes and authorities under which their data is collected. Minimization. Organizations should collect and retain only the minimum personal information necessary to fulfill the specified purpose. Unnecessary or excessive data collection should be avoided. Quality and integrity. Organizations should ensure the accuracy, relevancy, and timeliness of personal information. They should prevent unauthorized access, use, or alteration of data. Individual participation. Individuals should have the right to be informed about the collection and use of their personal information, as well as the ability to consent or opt out of certain data practices. Purpose specification and use limitation. Organizations should clearly define the purposes for which personal information is collected and use it only for those purposes unless additional consent is obtained. Security. Organizations should implement robust security measures to protect personally identifiable information from unauthorized access, theft, modification, or destruction. This includes encryption software, access controls using the principle of least privilege, routine security audits, and risk assessments. Transparency. Organizations should be open and transparent about their data practices, informing individuals about the collection, use, and sharing of their personal information. They should provide clear and accessible privacy policies. FIPPs, the CFAA, CISA, and GDPR differ in the enforcement of data privacy and security. FIPPs is a set of principles that outline best practices for collecting, using, and managing personal information. The CFAA, or Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, is a U.S. federal law prohibiting computer or network access without authorization or exceeding unauthorized access. It basically bans hacking. CISA, or Computer Information Sharing Act, is a U.S. federal law that permits companies to monitor and implement defensive measures on their information systems to mitigate cyber threats. And the GDPR, or General Data Protection Regulation, is a data protection law that gives individuals in the European Union several rights concerning their data, including the right to access their data, the right to have it corrected, the right to erasure, and the right to object to its processing. FIPPs protects personally identifiable information, or PII, by providing a comprehensive framework for federal agencies and organizations to handle personal data responsibly. Here's how a federal agency can use each FIPPs principle to protect PII. First, with access and amendment. An agency can establish procedures that allow individuals to access their PII, review it for accuracy, and request amendments or corrections when necessary. This empowers individuals to have control over their own information and ensures that inaccurate data is corrected. In applying accountability, an agency can appoint a privacy officer or a dedicated team responsible for overseeing privacy practices and compliance with privacy laws and regulations. They can develop and enforce privacy policies and provide regular training to employees on privacy best practices. In applying authority, an agency should clearly define and communicate the legal basis and authorities under which PII is collected. Individuals should be informed about the purpose of data collection and the legal requirements that allow the agency to collect and use their information. With minimization, an agency can implement data minimization practices by collecting only the minimum amount of PII necessary for the intended purpose. So similar to the principle of least privilege. Access to resources and permissions assigned to use certain devices and networks is granted based on that person's role and their responsibility. So in this case, PII should only be collected for its intended purpose for whatever is necessary. They should carefully evaluate the necessity of each data element and avoid collecting excessive or unnecessary information. With applying quality and integrity, an agency should establish procedures to ensure the accuracy, relevancy, and timeliness of PII. Regular audits and data quality assessments can be conducted to identify and correct any inaccuracies. The agency should also implement measures to protect data integrity and prevent unauthorized alterations. With applying individual participation, an agency can inform individuals about their privacy rights, including the right to be informed about data collection practices and the ability to consent or opt out of certain uses. They can provide clear and accessible mechanisms for individuals to exercise their rights and preferences regarding their PII. This can look like when you first visit a website and a cookies banner disclosure just pops up and it gives you about 3 options regarding whether you want to accept all cookies, reject none, or accept only what's necessary. With applying purpose specification and use limitation, an agency should clearly define the purposes for which PII is collected and use it only for those specified purposes. They should obtain consent or notify individuals if they intend to use the data for additional purposes beyond the original intent. Security. An agency should implement robust security measures to protect PII from unauthorized access, disclosure, alteration, and destruction. This includes practices such as, once again, encryption, strong access controls, regular security assessments, and incident response procedures in case of data breaches. And lastly, apply transparency. Agencies should maintain transparency by providing clear and easily understandable privacy policies that inform individuals about the agency's data practices. They should make these policies readily available to the public and ensure that individuals have access to information regarding the collection, use, and sharing of their PII. We've now reached the end of this presentation. What you see listed here are the sources that I used in my research. Thank you so much for watching, and please feel free to leave any feedback or critiques in the comments below.